to the MDes webinar. Welcome to the stream. Wishing you guys a very good morning from Singapore to wherever you are or wherever you may be in this world. My name is Ryan. I'm a first and final year master's student of the Masters of Design program at the National University of Singapore, and I'll attempt to be your moderator and panelist for today and get to know a little bit more about the course and more about what you're in for. And thank you so much for joining in. You'll be able to hopefully learn more about what this course is about, and I'll try to be entertaining at the same time because I know it's might be morning where you guys might be from. So if you have read about this course and you have questions for today, don't worry because you're in the right place. We have a lot of our panels who are professors as well as students with years of experience, and we'll be able to answer any questions you might have or may have. And as we go through the webinar for today, if you do have any questions, please feel free to type it down in the chat, and then we'll be able to answer them specific to your questions. Some of the questions will be frequently asked. So for most of these, we'll be able to answer them live on stream later on. If you're still confused about what this is and where you might be landing yourself into this morning, don't worry, you're also probably in the right place because if you don't know about MDes, this is where you guys are from. Before we start, we have, I think, 16 participants for today. We'll be waiting for a little bit more, and I know it might be early for some of you, but we do want to get to know you a little bit more before we kick things off. But I'll share the agenda for today. It's going to be a little bit more welcome for you. Want to get to know you a little bit more so we can cater some of our answers to your specific profiles. Some of you might be from India, some of you might be from China, some of you might be from Singapore, and you might just be interested in all of this. And then I'll hand over my time to the course coordinator of the MDes program, Karen, for the overview. And then we'll be able to answer some of the FAQs from our panels as well. We have lined up some questions that we think might be of interest to you guys. And then we'll pass over the time to our course manager, Nadira, who will be answering admission questions. And then after that, this is your time. Just type in any questions because we have the Q&A. So without further ado, let's just jump into Slido. Nadira, let's kick things off with it. Scan the QR code. Let us know where you guys are joining us from. Don't worry, for today, you don't need to unmute yourself because everything you do, you can just type into the chat, and that's how we like to keep things simple for you guys. So we'll wait from all of this. Actually, let me try to join in as well. We need one Singapore represent from today as well. So United States, I think that might be Brian. So we have Singapore right there. Let me just tie into my Singapore brethren as well. So Singapore is much bigger than the United States, only in my wildest dreams.
It's somebody else from the United States.
Oh, actually? No way. Welcome. Welcome to stream. Okay, so this is actually 11 p.m. where you guys are from in the US. That's crazy. Well, thank you for joining.
Don't underestimate the reach that we have.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Indonesia, Thailand. So China has one of the biggest numbers so far. We only have 9 polls, but welcome to everyone from wherever you are. I know if you're in the United States, we'll try to keep things short and sweet. So we'll be moving on to the next question. What is your background? Are you working professionals wanting to start a program in master's, or are you recent graduates from your bachelor's program? Wherever you might be, please let us know so that we'll be able to answer specific to your background, to your profile. We do have students who are recently from architecture backgrounds, who are recently from other design backgrounds as well. So I think this might be pretty good for us to get to know as well. Architecture students working, architecture again, product design, industrial designer. graphic designer at a sports agency. That's cool. So actually, we do have a really huge spread, but don't worry, this program is all about integrated design. So wherever you might be, whatever design field you might be from, this is the course for you. We have one last question. Let's move on with it. Nadira, take it away. What aspects of the MDes program at NUS appeal to you the most? Is it the curriculum? Is it the faculty? Is it collaborations? Is it the year of study? I already mentioned that I'm a first and last year student in the MDes program because it is still a 1-year program. If you are considering to take it in the upcoming academic semester, which is the AY 2526. But you do have the opportunity to just extend it to like 1.5 years as well if you do want it. So yeah, let us know what appeals to you the most. What do you want to find out as well? Industry projects. Yeah, the collaborations are pretty insane. We do have one this semester with Green Grounds, which is a sustainable farming grounds that might appeal to you as well. Collabs, industry project collabs as well. Yeah, actually, this was one of the things that enticed me to come in because ultimately, moving on, you want to have these collabs, you have these experience over to your working careers, and I think this would help you a lot the most. So this is actually our last question. Don't worry if you haven't answered. You don't have to. This is just for us to get to know you. We'll be moving on to our next segment. I'm going to pass over my time to Karen for the overview of the program. So don't worry if you know or don't know about the course. This is where you'll find out more. So Karen, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. And welcome again to everyone for joining us. As Ryan was saying, my name is Karen. I am the program coordinator and lead of the Master of Design and Integrated Design. And what I want to do before we get to the, main part of this webinar where we have the panel, and you have a chance to actually hear more from the students and the faculty directly, I just wanted to take the time to give you an overview of what the program is all about. I'm not going to share all the details because there's a lot of information online on our website, and I would encourage you to check it out there. But it's good to have an initial understanding of what are the ambitions and the aims behind the program and how we view design. So let's start directly there. I think something that we are all very aware of is that today's world is getting increasingly complex, ambiguous. There's a lot of uncertainty around us. And design, like many other disciplines and sectors, has to adapt to that as well. We have to stay flexible as designers. In fact, we actually are not longer limited to the traditional output. So I saw in the poll before, there's product designers, someone working on a sports agency. So you're very familiar with the typical outputs of design. But what we see increasingly is that the challenges that we are asked to work on, getting increasingly complex. So across sectors, across industry, we now need to really play a pivotal role in design to actually help us solve those challenges. And that's exactly where integrated design comes in. So Nadir, if you can go to the next slide, let's maybe ask the very important question, what is integrated design? How do we understand that? So design really is no longer a standalone practice. It really has to be seen as an integrated process. Design as a practice, as an activity, is really able to actually resolve silos, connect across disciplines, bridge gaps between people, organizations, etc. So what we mean by that is that when you look at design as a verb, as an activity, it actually is able to be integrated across the whole innovation process. So no matter if you design a service, a product, a communication strategy, or as mentioned before, are really focusing on solving more complex systemic challenges, like some of them that we're actually working on in this program, design is integrated throughout. So design is an essential aspect of the process. And we in this program want to help you prepare for that. If you move to the next slide, what do we mean by that? In the Master of Design and Integrated Design, we are preparing designers to take on strategic leadership roles. So we are equipping you with the essential skills to allow you to actually face those complex challenges. We are enabling you to deliver innovations, deliver solutions that are relevant, that are sustainable, and are actually help you in suiting for this ever-changing landscape. And we do this by integrating a whole range of different practices, of different aspects of design, like service design, experience design, interaction design, etc. So let's dive a little bit deeper into some of the key aspects of the program. Most importantly, and Ryan already mentioned it, we have on purpose designed this program to be very focused and compact. What that means, it's a 1-year full-time program. There is an option to extend it to 3 terms, and we can talk more about that in the Q&A if someone is interested. But the intention is to give you a really focused upgrade and enriching to your practice, allowing you to move on with your career without putting on hold. The cohort size is around 30 students, and the profile is really diverse and international. So we're looking at students from Singapore, from the region, and far beyond that. So it's great to see that also the participants in this webinar are very diverse. And this diversity is also reflected in our faculty, in the team of lecturers that actually teach in the master program. Nadira, if you can move to the next slide. This is an overview of the faculty that is teaching in the master program, and we actually have the chance to have some of them here on the call today. And we'll also have a chance to actually hear from them in the panel. And you can see this is an international team that has a rich experience both in design practice as well as in design research. So bringing together academia and design practice from across the globe. And the master program is not a standalone unit that's floating in space. We are actually based within a division of industrial design within the National University of Singapore. And NUS, as I'm sure many of you are aware, is ranked among the top 10 universities globally. So we really have the benefit here to be able to tap on this university in terms of resources, in terms of networks, within the larger international hub of Singapore. And the Division of Industrial Design has a rich history of being very leading and successful in regards of design. And it's proud to say that we're really pushing innovation to the next level. And here on this page is just a quick snapshot and overview of some of the awards that the student work developed at the Division of Industrial Design was able to win across the last few years. And of course, we are planning and we hope to add a lot of more awards like that with the work of our master students. But let's have a look at a little bit more what you can expect from the program itself. As mentioned, it's really about integration. And here we also focus on integrating theory and practice. It's important to have both. So we have on one hand a very strong underpinning of theoretical methodologies, key aspects that are critical for design practice today, ranging from experience design, service design, design for social innovation, sustainable design, design leadership, and much more. But then we integrate that very closely and bring it to life by applying it to industry-centered topic, by applying it to real-world collaborations with industry partners. And it was great to see that a lot of you are very keen and focused on that, because that's really something that we really put a big importance on. And we collaborate with local players, with international players, with MNCs. And if you go to the next slide, this is just a very brief overview of the course structure. Again, there's a lot of information on our website, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but just to highlight a few key characteristics of the structure. So in both in semester 1 and 2, you can see at the core of the program is our integrated design studio. And this is where our collaborations take place. So this is really where we work together with 2 to 3 different industry partners on real world challenges, on actual projects, where we get the students a chance to really try to crack some of those complex challenges. Below that, you can see this, very quickly below it, you can see like a whole range of key courses around topics like design leadership, research methodologies, etc. And then lastly, you have a range of courses you can choose from in terms of unrestricted electives, but more to that later. And now let's have a look at some of the collaborations that we have already in place this year for our integrated design studio. And as Ryan was mentioning briefly, for example, currently in this term, the students are working on one hand with a company looking at sustainable food systems, so tackling quite a big complex challenge here. While on the other hand, we have a brief that is collaborating with the National University Hospital of Singapore, looking at how we can integrate technology into patient experiences as well in a very meaningful and relevant way. And just as a flavor, last term we worked on a project around the future of travel, working with industry partners from Samsonite and Changi, and looking at a topic around visitor experiences in a huge, very important wildlife experience in Singapore, the Singapore Zoo. So you can see we have a lot of interesting, diverse topics and a wide range of industry partners. So then as a last point before I hand it over to the panel, I also just wanted to highlight the electives, because it's also important that you have a way to actually tailor and enrich your learning journey, your academic experience, to make it as meaningful, as relevant to you as possible. And here we have a whole range of different topics that you can choose from. On one hand, you can tap into the diverse design studios that we're offering in a wider division of industrial design, but we also have topics like sustainable innovation, design for healthy living, or the opportunity to work with some of the research labs that are connected to the division. So here really a broad way for you to make it as relevant and tailor it to yourself. But that's enough for me. I think the best way to learn about the program is actually hear from the people. So I'll hand it back to Ryan to lead us through the panel.
Thank you very much, Karen. I'm pretty sure that the chat or you guys have a lot of questions. Don't worry, please type it down in the chat box down on Zoom. If you can't see it, you can shift down to the bottom of your screen. There is a chat function. So type it down and we'll try to answer them quietly. But before that, we'll be able to move on to our panel section where we do have some questions and be answered by these beautiful people you see on screen. Myself, I'm going to be moderating this entire panel section. It will last probably around half an hour, or it could be a little bit shorter. We're running short on time for now, and we'll try to leave some more time for Q&A later. We have Iming, also a student. Anaka is not here today. We have Zhu Pengyu, you can call him Aaron as well. He's also a student. And we also have Karen, Brian with us today. Jungju is not yet here. So we'll be able to start off with the core question, or the most foundational question of the course and focus of the MDes program. How does the MDes program prepare students to lead design teams or manage design-related projects in industries such as technology, consulting, consumer projects? Maybe this question, let's throw it over to Brian or RBS to be able to answer this question.
Thank you, Ryan. So the first thing we should acknowledge is that design at its core is inherently collaborative. And it's simply because we have clients. And so with that, in our methodology, we're very accustomed to gathering requirements, talking to stakeholders, talking to users, sort of fully understand the scope of the domain in which we are designing. Right? So where we are today, as Karen was articulating earlier, is the complexity of problems that we're actually being confronted with, or maybe I should say challenges, does require the expertise or integration of other skill sets. So this concept of integrated design is twofold. Right? It is to integrate other aspects of the design field and related fields into our process, but also to think about design from end to end, from beginning to end, and not just this notion that sort of comes on at the conclusion of a project. So to answer Ryan's question specifically, well, how do we prepare people to do this? Well, that's simply because the work that we're doing is not solely theoretically based. There are theoretical underpinnings to the work that our students do, but they're actually working on concrete projects with actual stakeholders that come in and work with our students so they can understand the dynamics that happen in business. What happens when businesses pivot? What happens when you have to interface with computer scientists or marketing people or C-suite people? So rather than trying to simulate that theoretically, we actually bring those activities right into the classroom. Maybe the last thing I'll say on this topic, Ryan, is that our teaching faculty is extremely experienced in professional practice. Also, we won't go through the numbers, but I've been doing this for quite a while, as Karen, as Jungju. So you'll You'll get experienced faculty who have an international scope of what's happening in the space of design. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Brian. I can attest to everything he says. In a university level, we're trained to critically think about a lot of situations. But I do have one follow-up for you, Brian, before I head on to the next question, is how is the master's program different from a bachelor's program? Over to you.
Okay, so your bachelor's programs are typically very broad in their course offering. So they want to be able to expose students to a lot of different things, right? So exposure to product design, exposure to interface design, exposure to design research, exposure to communication, et cetera, et cetera. When you get into master's studies, the focus becomes much, much sharper. And the intent is to give you a very, very clear direction into your next career endeavor. We assume that you're already a good designer. What we want to focus on here is that you are a good leader, you're a good facilitator, you're a good collaborator, and you're a good communicator. There's the distinction.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Just to add on to your point, there is something that the MDes program really prepares you for, and it's about the future. A lot of new emerging trends, emerging technologies that are out there, like spatial computing, sustainable design. We have different aspects of design that are still uncovered or yet to be uncovered or in the process of being uncovered. So the next question is, how are critical emerging trends in design, such as sustainable design, AI, design thinking, covered in the program? I think, Karen, this was from your slides. Maybe you would like to expand on this a little bit.
Very happy to. And I think you really hit to a very, very important point. And that's adding on to what Brian was saying. The point of this master degree, this master program, is not to prepare you just for the first job that you will get coming out of the program. Of course, we want you to be as prepared as possible for this coming job. But actually, our ambition and the whole purpose of this master program is to go way beyond. We want to prepare you for a rich and long career for the next 5, 10, 15 years and beyond. And in order to do that, we need to really focus and engage on various levels with exactly those emerging topics. The way that we're doing this in the curriculum in the program is to, again, bring both the theoretical underpinnings. So we have, for example, in the first term, a seminar that focuses specifically on the emerging topics in design, where we have a rich conversation, a back and forth dialogue between students and faculty on topics like systems thinking, sustainability in design, inclusive design, etc. But then also in our integrative design studio, here by the selection of our industry partners and the topics that we're covering, we're also focusing on exactly those emerging topics, creating this safe space for exploration and trying out this kind of new ways of working, new ways of frameworks that you can bring into your work and that will be with you for years to come, because the job that you will be doing in 5 years, in 10 years are not out there yet. And the challenge that you will be facing are also, for most of us, not clear yet. And we want to be able to ensure that you are prepared for that.
Thank you very much, Karen. I think one of the interesting points that you brought up was being future ready for the students and what is to come in the next 5, 10, 15 years. But as we all know, professors, when they coordinate this course, when they plan this course structure, it's all theory. Let's hear from the students themselves. The question to Erin and Yiming, and we can start with Yiming first, because ladies first. How has the program influenced your personal growth as a designer and as a professional for the next 5 to 10 years in your career, setting you up for, the future?
Yeah, happy to answer this question firstly. Actually, the program has profoundly reshaped my perspective as both designers and professionals. The first one is really depend my understanding of the human-centered design, and I can participate to the real client industry in the industry. And for the professional skills, it really enhanced my research skills, both like the quantitative and the qualitative research. Because the service design, like the pre-period, we almost focus on the research part. So actually, it's very like to conduct my solid skills of the future career. And third one is communication and collaborations, because we have so many presentations during this course. Yeah, and we need to like expand my explain our ideas and insights, jump from our like the researchers. So it's really like conducting my experience in the future next years. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Aaron, any thoughts about how this program has influenced your growth in the, as a designer, as a professional, and especially like have taken this course in Singapore? Like, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Ryan. So, I think this program has enriched my choices in personal development. But before I joined this program, I'm not sure if I want to get into industry or like strengthen my research skills in university to pursue like high degree. So especially I think in research, this program gave us a like unique opportunity. Like we have one course called immersive research program, I think. Yeah, so maybe you can choose one faculty member such as JJ, Clement, or like Gabriel. So they are open to provide us a research opportunity. So that means you can work with them and like get more normalized research training. So I think yeah, you can try to find your research interests and their research direction. You can find the intersection between these two. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it was quite interesting that you pointed out opportunities, and just if you need anything, just go to your professor, because in NUS and being in this school for quite a while, like your professors aren't really your professors. Yes, they are kind of your professors, but they're also your mentors and also your friends. And I think it's really a quite interesting kind of dynamic you have as a student and as with your professor. And I've always come to know, trust your professor. And it's something Brian always brings up to me. Whatever he says, just go along with it. But then again, we have JJ on the panel as well. And I'm going to throw a curveball at her for being late to the program or being late to the panel as well. You know, Aaron actually talked about research opportunities. So if you're not too sure what you want to do, you want to head over the career, or you want to further your progression as an academic or in the research field, what kind of research opportunities are available for the students within the MDes program? JJ, it's all you.
Okay, yeah, I guess I was in time. Yeah, thanks for the question. So within the one-year MDes program, we offer various types of research opportunities where students can get engaged officially and casually. One of the examples of official engagement is this design research immersion program. It's a part of the elective modules. So in NUSDID, we have various research labs on different fields of design. For example, in interaction design, in visual communication design, in HCI, and in service design and social innovation design. And those labs open vacancies for MDes students to come on board as a lab member and being part of the ongoing research project. So that the MDes students can have a very good and intensive exposure to the research projects, and also the working with the research staff and the faculty members for one semester period. So that's one official intensive research experience opportunity. And another is also that program is being part of the lab member. And another program is the MDes students themselves, those who are interested in research, can also propose their individual research. So they can propose research questions or research project based on their own interest. And they can, as Ryan mentioned, they can kind of, go to faculty members to supervise the research project. So it's also another credit-bearing one-semester course. So they can also carry on with individual research project based on your interest. So those two are kind of official research opportunities. But also during the term break time, the labs could maybe open for research internship positions, and those positions are open for, of course, our students. And in our curriculum, there are project-based modules, project-based courses, and theory-focused courses. And the project-based courses have actually quite good research portions that aim to nurture our students' research capabilities. So of course, different project has different focus and different ways of doing, but students can also nurture their research skills from there. And some deliverables from some parts of the, some of the project actually include writing or short papers. So they can also train themselves with academic writing as well if they are interested. And theory focused courses like, so we have seminar courses. It actually built on quite a intensive research components as well. And it opens an opportunity for students to read those seminar papers in different topics, and the deliverables are kind of debates, peer-to-peer discussions, and like research posters and short paper kind of academic writings. So as you see, we have really the various research opportunities in a wide spectrum. So it's really up to students who choose, whichever, what type of activity is suitable for their needs, and they can choose and knock the door for different labs and faculty members.
Mm-hmm. I can attest to that. Whatever you're passionate in, be it like service design, visual communication design, even prototyping or modeling, or right now we do have like spatial computing as well. Just head on over to your professors. We do have like world-class facilities and support in terms of expertise for you to work with, so you can work on your own passions on top of all of this as well. We're moving on due to the interest of time. A lot of the students or the attendees are actually talking about like collaborations being one of the driving factors and motivations in coming to this course specifically. So I want to throw it over again to Brian. What kind of career support does the MDes program offer, and how does the university help with job placement, or do they even help with job placement after graduation? Brian.
Well, we have a couple of entities within the College of Design and Engineering and the university as a whole that do look at job placement scenarios. I also, though, encourage our students to be a bit more proactive in those endeavors. So in other words, yes, we can look at these job placement services, but I would advocate that you go out and identify the types of organizations that you want to work with. So if you see Dyson as a company really fits a culture that you're passionate about, you identify those companies, and then you become very proactive in reaching out to those organizations. And we can help you along on how to craft narratives and a strategy and build your portfolio so it really resonates with those organizations. I would say also, beyond those sort of formal services, every one of our faculty members is very much dialed into a series of professional networks. Me having worked in the United States, and I know former students and organizations there, Karen having, spent time in Europe, Jungju having spent time in Korea. We're all very networked globally. So I think that actually lends another level of advantage in your professional job search.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've come to know that myself as well. Being a student, and I was like, last year, I was like, okay, I really need to find a job. And I was like, just going on to LinkedIn, going on to career job portals, and I was like trying to search for a lot of the internships, a lot of job opportunities 1 year before. And it's not really common in Singapore to like, okay, be really, really nervous about that jobs. And with all these industry collaborations and really talking to these industry collaborators and like trying to extend that network into further opportunities really helps, but you have to do it yourself, like independently as a student, and you really have to show that you want it. Try to go with follow-up emails and follow-up conversations with your collaborators as well. But that being said, are there any internship or industry partner opportunities coming from the MDes program themselves? I think Karen, you might be the best person to answer this.
Happy to share more, but I also wanted to add on a little bit on the last conversation because I think that's actually really critical. And I second that it's important to be proactive as a master student. And I would expand that it's proactive as in identifying who you want to work for, what sector that you're interested in. But also I think what we're really aiming to do with this master and in the way that we frame our educational approach, the way that we frame also our collaboration with industry is to open up your view and perspective of what role as designers you actually can fulfill, what role designers in practice can play. And that's, of course, as Zhengju has very nicely put, there's like a lot of research positions and research approaches, both in academia and outside that are open. But also if you look at our industry projects, our industry partnerships. So for example, in our last term, when we were working on the future of travel, by not only having the different industry partners that provide close contact to the students, so here you have the chance to reach out, to make connection, to build up your own professional network. But also the intention is to actually show what are the different roles that designers play in industry. What are the different roles that designers in terms of like running their own studios, their own practices, in terms of like, for example, we had a key stakeholder from Changi Airport who shared about her own career progression. So I think here it's also about helping you to broaden the perspective, to not only look for like the classic jobs that you might perceive as a designer, but actually look further and beyond. And then beyond that, there are various options that the university is offering. So there's, for example, the Future Ready Graduates Division that hosts a whole set of different career fairs, job clinics, CV clinics, etc. So there's a whole set of services dedicated to students that help you, support you with training, etc. And then just to second Brian's point, then there's our faculty. And I think here it's really about working closely with us, sharing your interests, and we as professionals will help you where we can.
Well, thank you for that. I think we have spent a little bit of time talking about the macro overview of the program, what it prepares you for the future, and what it prepares you in the career standpoint. But before that, we have to get through the MDes program. So I'm very interested to find out more about the challenges that some of the students have faced or some of the opportunities that arise in the program. So the question, and I want Aaron to answer this first, what have been the biggest challenges or opportunities you've been facing in the program thus far, and how have you overcome them? And also the opportunities that are specifically in Singapore alone.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. So for me, I think when you study in a multicultural country like Singapore, I think language may be a challenge. I believe there are many Chinese students who do have English language environment. So even if you got a good score in IELTS or TOEFL test, you will still face many language barrier when you really enter to some like unfamiliar environment for like communication. So for example, like last semester, I take JJ's platform, which I participate in the give me a special opportunity to do like design research in place like nursing home. So which I had not many opportunity to do this kind of research in such real place of care and to gain the first-hand contextual knowledge in China. So, but therefore, I believe that this project can also bring you like a real opportunity to practice. But when you like delve into this place, you talk with the like migrant worker with diverse accent, you may feel very struggle to overcome this. But I think you can take it as an opportunity to like strengthen your communication and language skill. Because I think you choose to study abroad, you need to take English as your studying or learning language. So yeah, that's one of my challenge, but I think we can also take it as an opportunity.
Hmm. So language barrier is definitely one of the things that our friends from China has definitely faced. But from the looks of it, Aaron, your English has been improving so much after the first 6 months. Let's say first 6 months. I don't see anything wrong with it. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting. Yeah, it's been improving in
yeah, because our program is very like compact program. So we have a lot of chance to talk with our teachers and professors. So we got much time to tutorial and talk with them. So also another way to strengthen our language.
Yeah, that is really a very good sort of like interpersonal skill that you can build up as well when you're coming to the MDes program. But I do have we have hand raised from JJ. I think she wants to add something to it as well.
Yeah. If maybe shortly. So so Aaron is a good example. So we had one semester of our program passed. And as a teaching members, we actually see huge, significant growth and the maturity experienced from our students, comparing to half a year ago and now. They are very confident in speaking, of course, the language English, but also they are very confident and more comfortable in doing all these peer-to-peer discussions, participation, academic debate. So that's a great achievement that we already observe from our students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I wanted to ask another question to Yiming, but since she's not here, I will direct the question over to Aaron again. What did you wish you had known before starting this program? Actually, I'll repeat the question again because Yiming has just popped back in. What do you wish you had known before starting this program that could help our potential students coming in as well? Yiming, over to you.
Yeah, actually, before I started this program, I don't know anything about what I should do in the integrated design studio. So when I entered it, I need to learn about the service design. So I started to research about these things. So actually, before I entered to this program, I really recommend you to do some research or the studies about the service design. And next one is I want your guys practice your presentation skills before you enter this program. Yes.
Yeah, presentation skills. Just to tie it up a little bit, what kind of experiences have you been through? For you to say that, like, have you been struggling with presentations, or was it difficult? Was it the language that you have to account for as well? Tell me a little bit more about your experience, Yiming.
Yes. Actually, I think before in my undergraduate studies, I just first of all, my bachelor degree is in architecture, so it's all like the individual work, and we just have the final review or the interview or the interim review. So it's quite like the short interview, and we just present our project individually. But currently, we study the service design. We need to facing our clients and also collaborate with our group mates together. So I think it's the opportunity to have our the collaboration ideas or have the insights from our discussions process. So I think it's very quite good experience to me to practice my presentation skills and also the discussion skills and also the group leadership things.
Thank you for that. One last question before we move on to the next segment. And I'll direct this to Brian first, but any one of the professors can chime in. A lot of the students were asking about the application process. So the question is, how competitive is it? And what is the selection criteria? Brian, do you know anything about it?
I know everything about it.
You better.
So what we ask the students to do is author a statement of purpose or statement of intent. Show us 4 examples of their best work. Is that correct, Karen? And then your typical requirements of the university, your if English is your second language, your TOEFL scores, your transcripts from your undergraduate programs, your financial responsibility. But let me just add another layer to that. I want you all to keep in mind that we're going to be looking at about 100 applications. And you really want to pay attention to details in your application. So for instance, one thing that is an instant turnoff for everybody on the review committee is when we get a letter that says, I'm really looking forward to working with you, Professor Stone, at the Hong Kong Polytechnic. And that tells me that, okay, well, this person obviously is applying to another school, and we understand that, but they're not paying attention to details. We want to know that you understand why you're coming to NUS and what NUS has in terms of value that is distinct from these other programs. So be very purposeful in how you write your statement of intent. Think about how you're going to contribute to the program and what would distinguish you as a candidate from all the other applications that we're going to see.
Well, thank you very much for that. Does any other professors want to chime into this? Karen, do you have anything?
Yeah, happy to add on. And I think the important point is, as Brian was saying, like there's like the requirements you can find on our website, like the portfolio, the letter, etc. I think what we're looking for is, we mentioned before, we believe you, we know that you are a good designer. So beyond just a polished portfolio, what we're actually looking at is your ability to reflect on your practice. So you will see that in our requirements for the portfolio, we not just want your 4 best projects, we also want you to share with us what makes you proud about this project, what actually was really successful, but also what are some of the learnings, what are maybe some things you would do differently, because entering into a master program, it's not just mastering all the tools that designers have and being up to date with the latest software, it's being able to take a step back and reflect on your practice, reflect on the context, reflect on your own role as a designer. And this is really something that we want to see in your portfolio as well. You taking a critical look at your practice and being able to assess what are some of the gaps, and then also what are some of the things that you want to learn in this master to apply.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And I do want to reiterate something that Karen has actually brought up is the MDes program has actually prepared us students to be very reflective about all of our works. What could have been done differently? What changes would you make in the future? And I think this is one of the things, like when I see any of my works or anything that I do outside, I'm always asking, so what or why am I doing this? And just why? I'm always questioning things around me, which makes me kind of annoying for my girlfriend. But if we're being realistic, you guys have a lot of questions, especially around academics, out of academics. So you can always type it in the chat and we'll be happy to answer you. What makes Singapore a great place to study or a great place to take a short vacation in, because we do have recess breaks. I know Brian likes to go over to Philippines. Aaron likes to take his trips over to Thailand, and it's a social hub that we have over here in Singapore. So if you have any questions at all, please type it in. And I think the application process is a very good segue to some of the admission requirements, the financial support, and the info, contact details that you have to reach out to. So I would like to hand this time over to Nadira. She's our course coordinator, sorry, not course coordinator, the course manager for the MDes program. So I'm gonna hand over the time to the lovely Nadira. Take it away.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay. So as you, some of you may have actually went onto our website to find out more information about our MDes program. So basically our website covers the admissions requirement, the fees and financial information, the program structure, the financial support, as well as the graduate certificates that the MDes program offers. So we are actually 1 month away, almost 1 month away to the closing of the application period for our August 2025 intake. So if you are interested, you still have 1 more month to furnish all of your application materials, do your video submissions, define your problem statement of purpose, and then put it in an application. So we've prepared a QR code over here. So actually you can just do a scan of the QR code and it will link you to our MDes website. One of the questions that we actually get from some of our applicants, what are some of the financial support options that we offer? Under the College of Design and Engineering, we do have the Global Fellowship option. So basically, interested students who would like to apply for this global fellowship can actually put in an application together with when they apply for the program itself. However, they will just need to actually include another additional 3-minute video to explain why you want to be selected for this fellowship. And then it will be considered together with your application as well. So now, graduate certificates. So this graduate certificates is actually very new to the program. As you know, MDes is actually a 1-year full-time program. So if you're considering to have a little flavor of what the program is like, you may actually consider enrolling in the graduate certificates. So we have 3 graduate certificates. The current one that is ongoing right now is the graduate certificates in design leadership. And then subsequently, we will be introducing 2 more new graduate certificates in the new academic year. The design discovery and emerging topics, as well as the design graduate certificates in integrated design. So just now in the earlier slides, Karen has shared like the theory courses of the MDes program. So basically the design, discovery and emerging topics, students will actually be reading 2 courses, which is the design research methods and the emerging topics in design in semester 1. So which is the August semester. Secondly, we have the ongoing design leadership course, whereby students will actually read 2 courses again, which is the design strategies and leadership, as well as collaborative design. And lastly, the integrated design studios is instead of a 1 semester graduate certificate, it will be spent across 1 academic year. So students will actually be participating in various integrated design studios when you actually apply for this integrated design certificate. So we do have any questions. If you have, we can actually put it on the chat, or you can actually contact us at DID postgrad, ask DID postgrad@nus.edu.sg. Ryan?
Thank you very much, Nadira. If you do have any more questions about admissions, do please type them down in Q&A. We do have quite a bit of questions already answered, but I do want to bring up some because we'll be moving over to the Q&A segment. So now is your time. If you have any questions at all, please type it down in the Q&A. We'll be able to answer them. I think the first question I wanted to do answer live. It's already answered, but I do want to just elaborate on this a little bit more. Is by Christabella. I want to have a clear understanding of what I will be doing in MDes. Can you talk more about the project, like what you do, how you do it? I think the best person to answer this, we'll start with a professor. I think Karen might be able to answer this first, and then we'll hear it from a student. So Karen, do you have a clear understanding of what these students will be doing in MDes, what kind of projects they'll be embarking on, and such and such?
I think the best way to answer that is by just giving you an example of the project that we did in the last term, because that's what actually was happening on the ground. So I think I also mentioned one of the questions we have on average. So every term there will be the integrated design studio happening. That's the core of the program. And in each term we have 2 to 3 different client briefs for the students to choose from. So you also have a selection of which topic is most interesting to you, which approach, which aspect of design you want to dive deeper. In the first term of this cohort, we had 2 different topics to choose from. One was a bit broader. So here the challenge area was around the future of travel, looking at the year 2040, what are the trends that we see both from a technological, from a social, from an economic point of view that will impact the way how we travel. So that was a quite open brief for the students to explore. And in order to provide some guidance and some structure, we then brought in a whole set of different industry partners. For example, Samsonite, who is, of course, like doing travel utensils like suitcases, bags, etc. But we also had industry experts from Changi Airport or from Discover, which is a customized travel agency focusing on very experiential travel engagements. So this was allowing the students to look into the future and imagine what are the different possible futures with S that could actually come out of that. And it was really interesting and enriching to see the diversity that came out of that. Some groups were looking at space travel. Actually, we have some of them here on the call who focused on that. Other students looked at more complex topics, like, for example, refugees. So you can see there was a rich diversity. The second topic that we worked on last term was a nice contrast to that. So here we worked with one specific industry partner, the Singapore Zoo, and that enabled us to have a very targeted engagement with an industry topic. So here we looked specifically at the visitor experience of the Singapore Zoo. Those of you who are not familiar, the Singapore Zoo is a world-leading zoological institution. They have 4 different parks. So a lot of rich opportunities for the students to actually dive into how can we improve this experience for the different users, for the different target audiences. So I hope this gives you a flavor of the different topics. They're diverse. We don't prescribe that, for example, the solution has to be digital or physical, etc. That's also very much in the nature of integrated design. We bring the different disciplines that are represented by our students together. The challenges are broad and complex. So you as a master student really have to start to frame and understand and scope the problem based on your research, based on your engagement with the challenge topic.
Mm-hmm. To add on to that, before passing over time to Aaron to talk more about the experiences within what kind of projects he'll be doing, is that we do have foundational courses that we must take. So in the last year, we needed to go through emerging topics classes. So this is a class that teaches us about the different future aspects of emerging topics like sustainable design. Man, I can't remember. It's way too many, Karen. Way too many. But like, yeah, sustainable design,
Systemic design.
future, systemic design, yada yada yada. The list goes on and on. And I think this was a very, very interesting class outside of the integrated studio that we have to take, because it's more of like readings and being reflective of like how this applies to my current project and how this applies to the projects that I'm doing in the future. And I think it would be good if Nadira pulls up again the modules and the types of MCs, the types of modules that students need to do, so that we can have that on the screen. We do have 3 core courses that we have, 2 core courses, 3 core courses, including the integrated design studio. And then you can choose any other course. It's an unrestricted elective for any of the 2 semesters right here. Now, I do want to hear a little bit more from the international students. So Aaron, what are some of the challenges of some of the projects that you've been doing? What are some of the experiences that you have doing some of the projects that you have done within all of this?
Okay, thank you, Ryan. I think Karen has talked a lot about our integrated design studio. So I want to talk more about design research methods and emerging topics in design, because as you mentioned, the emerging topics give us a lot of opportunity to learn some emerging topics like sustainable design, design justice, and feminist design. So these terms I never learned I never learned in my bachelor study. So I think this is a good chance to learn what's the emerging and the state of art in the HCI or design research field. And the design research methods, I think, it gives us a chance to learn how to standardize the research methods in design research. And also we can like read some papers about design research methods and find our research interests in design research fields. Yeah.
Yeah. To add on to what Aaron is saying, it's a very it might be a little bit more reading than what you're used to in the bachelor's program, but don't worry because this is all really, really reflective. So you read, you try to digest and understand before doing some of the projects. And to answer some of the questions that I've been seeing recurring in the Q&A is, are some of the projects more individual or are there group projects? Well, typically in the integrated design studio, it's a group project. And there's a reason for that because the MDes program prepares you for being a design leader, how to work in a group, how to work with different aspects, different cultural understandings, different perspectives in a group setting. So this is really one of the core things that you've been going, that you need to go through. But we do have individual projects, individual writings from the design research methods, emerging topics and design. We do have opportunities for, again, group projects as well. So whether you like individual projects, whether you like group projects, you have the opportunity to experience both because this is what really prepares us for our future careers as well. Well, moving on to the next question.
Before you
and I think
move
this
on,
one,
before
yeah,
you move on,
right.
if you wouldn't mind, I want to underscore something that Karen talked about that I think it's important. Before I do that, in professional practice, all projects are group projects, everything, right? Because you'll work with clients, and you have to build a rapport and a good working relationship with your clients. You will ultimately have dependencies in the execution, whether you are working with people in computer science, material science, production artists, etc. So that one of the core principles in the integrated design studio is that you learn how to work with these individuals, how to manage these dynamics, and as I said earlier, to be a very good facilitator of the process. And the second point that I wanted to make, and there was a question in the chat about, well, specifically, what are we going to do? In your undergraduate programs, your projects are very carefully curated, right? So you have a 13-week semester and say, okay, this week we're going to do this, and next week we're going to do this, and the following week we're going to do this. But in this studio, you have to bear in mind that every project that you work on in your professional career will be different. You might use a very similar design process, whether that be the double diamond, divergent convergent model. It could be the sort of design loop around observation, reflection, and making. But what you're going to learn is how to be adaptable and nimble depending on the requirements of the project that you're working on. All right, so you have to learn like this degree of flexibility and to understand like, okay, I need to accelerate the process. Maybe I need to slow it down. Maybe I don't have enough information, so I want to ask more questions of my stakeholders. And that, once again, is to prepare you for the dynamic world that you're going to see in professional practice and not the controlled world that you see in your undergraduate studies.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to highlight dynamic and just interdisciplinary, because in projects like the integrated design studio, we're not just working with our group mates. We're working with customers, stakeholders, and we're talking to them, we're interviewing them, and we're bringing them in collaborative design practices, in collaborative design workshops, and we'll get to know more about this. The good thing or the best thing I think that this course provides is sort of like, I don't really know the word for it, but like when you learn something from one course or one module, you'll be able to apply it immediately to another. And I think this is one of the best things that I think that this course actually provides. And like Brian said, it's carefully curated. I do want to, due to the interest of time, move on to one of the questions. And I think, JJ, you're best to answer this. I know this is specifically for the MDes program, but some of the students are asking about PhD programs or masters in research. Would you be able to shine some light on more information about masters in research, PhD in research, and the MDes program, and any differences between all of these?
Okay, sure. So MDes program is a 1-year coursework project. And of course, it's not a binary, but the primary focus is on the development of professional designers. So all curricular has been designed around that aim. And the Masters of Arts and the PhD by Research is a research program. So the MA by research is usually the candidature is 2 years, and the PhD has a candidature 4 years. So it's a very research-oriented program. So the primary outcome is the thesis. So whereas MDes doesn't require like thesis upon graduation, MA and the PhD, they need to submit the thesis, MA thesis and the PhD thesis. The primary goal is to really nurture the design researcher, the future research scholars. So the entire program has this components of thesis project, individual research project, and it goes into all this, the epistemology and ontology and the philosophy of science and so on and so on. So the purposes and the design of the program are different. And in NUS, the MA and the PhD by research, they are called research students. So they are associated with the research function of the university.
Hopefully that answers your questions. If you do have any questions or you're still confused about MDes, MA in research and PhD, please type them in the Q&A or email askid.postgraduate@nus.edu. I don't think that's, if I remember correctly. Yeah, nus.edu.sg.
Can I add one?
Oh, yes.
So there are a lot of students who apply for this coursework master's program, and they kind of build their interest in research, and they can apply for this research program as well for PhD by research.
So I think just a very quick follow-up question, JJ, is if you undergo the MDes program for a year and you do want to pursue, hey, actually, I do want to kind of do research in the future, is there any opportunity to go towards PhD in the future? Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, of course. Actually, many students are doing it under CDE. And as I mentioned earlier, those research exposure, this research immersion courses or the research intern in the lab and more intensive interactions with the faculty members, it actually provides very good chance for students to find out whether they are really interested in doing research, and they can apply for the PhD program for pursue the further degree. And we have 2 intakes, one for August intake and the other for January intake.
Thank you very much, JJ. So we're moving on to the second to last question. There's one question that will be answered live. And this question is, what kind of people does this program look for, and what kind of person does it aim to nurture? This is a very deep question. And this student is from an architecture background, and he's wondering if he's a good fit for this program. Generally, and I'll direct it to all the professors, if you know how to answer this, please do. Yeah, what kind of person do you look for in the application process, or is there anything specifically you're looking for in the video application or the portfolio or resume or anything? Karen, Brian?
I can kick off, but I'm sure both JJ and Brian will have something to add on as well. I think first and foremost, what I'm looking for the most is curiosity and passion for design. So we're looking for designers or for applicants that want to push their practice to the next level, that are curious, that are critical, that are interested to see where design has been evolving to and what lies beyond that in the future, the next 5 to 10 years. So, and that includes a curiosity, not just for design in a very narrow angle. So definitely be curious about what's happening in the world of design, but actually be curious about the world in general. So that's also why you will see in our requirements, we also want to hear what do you do outside of design? What are the things that inspire and interest you? Because it's really about the full-rounded person. You are more than just the skills that you learned in your undergrad. You really want to see, okay, what are the kind of things that drive you, that excite you? And those are, back to the point that I think Brian raised before, those are the kind of people that will create an interesting and diverse cohort, because next to what we can teach you, you will actually learn a lot from the people that you join the program with. So it's really important to have this group of diverse, interesting people that are curious about the world. That's what I'm looking for.
Is there any other follow-up answers to this question? What kind of people does this program look for? And I know it's specific to the professors, but is there anything in general that the students should be aware of or anything? JJ, Brian?
Yes, I was looking for a statement that I'd shared with my colleagues, and we got an application, and they said, I'm very anxious to learn from you so I can use my skills to make the world a better place. And I said, that really doesn't tell me anything. It's too generalized. It doesn't have any specificity. If it's more in the case of, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, or I'm very passionate about designing for underserved markets, such as, what we're seeing in certain countries, all right? Or I want to be involved in healthcare and do these kinds of things. That's going to elevate the quality of your application. Now, to Karen's point about people that are passionate and people that are curious, absolutely. The one thing that I would add is, what do you bring to the table? All right. What can you bring that makes our student cohort stronger collectively? And be very clear on articulating what your gift is.
Well, thank you very much for that. I think we can take this time. There's no other further questions. I think most of the Q&As have been answered. If the panel has anything else to bring up or add to the conversation, now's the time to do so. If you do have any other questions, we do have a little bit more time before we head off for lunch. For those of us who are in Southeast Asia or in Asia, for the American in the chat, it's good night for you. So yeah. But yeah, general inquiries, please email askid.postgraduate@nus.edu.sg. It's all for the ID coursework, research programs. Is there anything the panel would like to bring up? Any additional points?
Yeah.
JJ, you have something?
Yeah, I do. Jungju, go ahead.
Okay, some specific advice for to help the preparation of your application. So we look at your portfolio, personal statements, and videos, and it actually has to do with all what Brian and Karen has emphasized before. It's not that we are looking for someone with large, broad experiences, but we are looking for someone who have a very angle. So when you prepare your portfolio, personal statement, especially portfolio and your video, we want to hear your personal voice, your personal angle to how you reflect on your past experiences and past projects. So don't try to give us a lot of information about the project, but to teach us what are your takes and what are your specific angle when you reflect on your past experience. We enjoy reading those reflective pieces from your applications.
Thank you, JJ. Brian, you had something to add?
Yes. When our task force was formed to develop this program, one of the first questions that we asked was, what can we do in this program that can't be done in other programs? We acknowledge that there are very good master's programs all over the world. We know that. But what's our point of distinction? One, we are in one of the largest, most diverse and globally recognized universities in the world. All right. And so if you're interested in other areas of study that will supplement your master's in integrated design, like chemical engineering, like business, like computer science, all of those things are available to you. The other thing we talked about was multilingual, multicultural. All right. So if you want to develop your sense of self beyond the area in which you grew up, to really meet people from around the world and build a stronger sense of empathy for people from Southeast Asia, Europe, North America, South America, you come here and you can do that. Another thing, it's warm all year long. And we get to go outside in January. Now, I know we have somebody on the call from the United States. You're not outside right now. I am absolutely certain of that. And then the last point is there are so many multinational companies that have a physical presence here in Singapore. It gives these collaborative opportunities. It gives us lots and lots of choices to collaborate with different types of organizations and businesses. And that, I would say, is our point of distinction as you consider us against maybe some of the other programs that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Does any of the students have anything to say? Aaron, Yiming, anything else? What makes your life in Singapore studying MDes so interesting, so fruitful, and valuable for yourself? I think Yiming, do you have something to say?
Actually, I want to first answer the last question about the application things background. For my personal experience, because I have the entrepreneur experience before, and my bachelor major is architecture. But for me, my personal statement submitting the application system is about how I can contribute to the future emergency design system things. So it's all reflect my experience during my working experience and also my academic experience as well. So I think for the the students, they are continue to do the master program. Please show your characteristic and your strategies in your understanding of these things. But if you have the more working experience, you can integrate them to your design thinking systems things. Yes. So next question is about how my life in Singapore. I think it's very exciting. We have the very good environment, design environment in our university, and also in Singapore have the design week. So I think it's quite useful and helpful experience and the environment to have your have the future design future. You can see how wow it's so nice things I can do in the next few years. So I think it's very helpful for us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not just the school, it's the environment, it's the country. We do have a very strong design group or collective within Singapore as well. To tie things off, I think I don't want to hold everyone back. The application period, again, I want to reiterate for the August 2025 intake is 1st October to 28 February. So you do have around a month left before the admissions or the applications close. But don't worry about this. If you somehow forget, just apply. If we get to it, they get to it, is what Brian always says. But also, I think one thing that Nadira, you could shine some light on is what is the process after this? What are some of the, when do the students know that they're shortlisted for an interview or shortlisted for admissions? Do you know anything about this?
Hi, okay, thanks Ryan for the question. So applications will actually close on the 28th of February. We do review our applications in batches. So the last batch of applications, the outcome of the last batch of applications would be available to candidates sometime in April, late April. So for the August intake for our international students, by the time in May, you will receive your offer, and then that's where you can actually start applying for your student pass sometime in June, and then come on board in August.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, all of you, for attending this short little webinar that we have. And thank you to the panel. Thank you to the professors and the students for their time to answer any of these questions. And Nadira, could you just bring up the general inquiries email just one last time? If you do have any other questions, please post askid.postgraduate@nus.edu.sg. From us to you, have a lovely lunch. And for the person joining us from the United States, good night and have a lovely day. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.